Hey guys, so today we're ranking every Rust weapon from best to worst. The only weapons I will be doing will be guns because I don't want to really waste time looking at other weapons. You guys can discuss among yourselves what other weapons like bows or I don't know, grenades are better. But for guns, I want to discuss the guns. We're gonna rank the guns from best to worst, S tier being the best weapons, and F tier being the worst, like you should not use unless you have no other gun. So I'm gonna start in no particular order. I'm just gonna pick guns from the list below and we'll rank them. The first thing I'm gonna rank is the custom. The uh, custom SMG. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Now, the reason why I'm going to put the custom in C tier, this weapon, a lot of people don't like this weapon, and objectively speaking, this isn't a good automatic weapon. It's one of the worst, maybe the second worst automatic weapon. However, the fire rate on this weapon and how consistently you can find this in crates makes it pretty good. This weapon you can kill like an AK with very easily. Well, the problem with this weapon is like the range. That's like the main problem with the custom SMG. You won't be able to hit anything long range. Medium range, maybe if you had practice with this gun, you might be able to hit it. But short range to medium range, like maybe 60 meters, you'd be able to hit your shots with this gun. So yeah, that's how I rank the custom. Next on the list, let's go with the L96. I think that's very clearly S tier. I don't think there's any debate about the L96. It is the best bolty in the game, and it's one of the best like shots in the game. It's one of the best guns in the game. I don't think there's any explanation needed. It's a better version of the bolty. I think it's the gun with the highest amount of damage per hit. Very obviously, it's a sniper weapon. No debate. S tier. Let's see the Humglum. Sorry, the HMLMG. I think sucks personally. I would not use this gun. I would have to be pressed to use this gun. But it has its uses. It's great for raiding, putting expo in it. It's also great for shooting. It has a higher damage per hit, but it's not that easy to control. I don't think anyone would craft this willingly. But it's great if you find it. It's great to use. But there's better weapons out there. Speaking about better weapons, um, I'm gonna put the Python in D tier. And this might be a little controversial. I know a lot of people out there have love for the Python, but I particularly don't. And I know a lot of people don't. There's many new revolvers in, these new updates that Rust is, the Rust team, the Face Punch team has been outputting. There's a lot of new revolvers now. And this Python, although it is cheap to craft, and it's tier 2 cheap to craft gun, and the damage, you can kill someone with 2 headshots with this gun, but it's very hard to control. This gun is extremely hard to control. No new player will be able to use this gun. Now maybe I'm exaggerating, but most new players who step foot into Rust will not be able to use this gun. And this gun takes a lot of practice to use, especially like if you're using it like a SAR, one shot every second, then this gun is fine. But if you're trying to like use it as like a custom or like an automatic weapon, shoot like 5 shots in 1 second, good luck with that. That's why I don't think this gun is good. I think there's a lot of better guns, maybe cheaper guns, easier to find guns that you can use to shoot. But objectively speaking, it is not a bad gun. The problem with this gun is its recoil. That's really the main problem with this gun, its recoil. Next gun up on the list, I'm going to put the SAP at A tier. There's been a lot of talk about the SAP. I think that the SAP is still an A tier gun. It's not S tier because I guess there's other guns in tier 2 that... I didn't want to put too many guns in tier 2. The SAP is definitely an S tier weapon. It's extremely cheap to craft. You can find it very easily. It's very easy to shoot. I think out of all like the semi-automatic weapons, the SAP is the easiest to shoot. It has like negative recoil. The SAP is a very good weapon. Yeah, there's really nothing much to say about this gun. This gun is amazing. An amazing weapon. Let's see, let's go with the Spaz next. Let's do the Spaz. I think the Spaz, we're gonna put it in C tier. Now, the Spaz is, well, I guess used to be before the Benelli came out. It used to be the best shotgun. And that's just looking at its stats. The damage is really high. The amount of shots you can hit per second is also really high. The amount of shots that you can shoot per second and the amount of damage you can do with each shot are both pretty high. But the problem with this weapon is that it's a military grade weapon. One, you can't craft this weapon. Two, it's not really practical for anything, like, I'd say medium range. Anything medium range is not really practical. Even if you put, well, I guess if you put a slug in it, it's better. But I think there's a lot better guns and cheaper guns and easier to find shotguns. Like, the only reason you would use a spaz is for raid defense. And, like, let's just be honest. I'm only using a spaz for raid defense. It's sitting on my base for raid defense unless I don't have, like, a pump or a DB or an Eoka. That's the only way that's going out of the base. I guess a better example of a shotgun would be the Benelli. Or the M4, I think it's called. The Benelli A tier. In A tier honestly, I would put it in S tier if there wasn't better weapons to put there. But the Benelli is A tier because, similar to the Spaz, they're both military grade weapons. Or military grade shotguns. However, the Benelli you can shoot long range and, like, get a kill. Now, long range may be an exaggeration. I wouldn't be using this at 150 meters. However, maybe at like 75 or 60, it's not that bad. It's an amazing shotgun. But I would say this is, just in terms of damage, this is probably the best damage shotgun. And, you know, the shots per second is also really good with the shotgun. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great shotgun. It's a great weapon. It's amazing. Talking about great weapons. Let's go to the Tommy. The Tommy, I'm gonna put the Tommy in B tier. Now, that might also be a little controversial, but with the recent changes, and when I say recent, I'm gonna say the last 2 years, there's been a lot of changes to this gun. The recoil has changed a lot with this gun, and that's been a major detriment to the Tommy. Now, the Tommy is, to be honest, the only good, reliable I'm using very loosely, but the only reliable tier 2 automatic weapon. If you're like tier 2 locked, you're using a Tommy. Either a Tommy or a SAR, but we're talking about automatic weapons, then you're using a Tommy. Like I said, the problem with the Tommy is its recoil is basically randomized. Good luck hitting your shots with this gun. But despite that, it's still a good gun for long range combat. Now, I wouldn't be shooting this gun at 200 meters, but if you can, you should. Yeah, I don't know. The Tommy is a pretty good tier 2 weapon. It's a pretty good automatic weapon. I think one of the best automatic weapons. But this gun disappoints. I think that in the spectrum of all automatic weapons, like I said, you know, I put it in B tier. There's better automatic weapons for short range combat. There's better automatic weapons for long range combat. Even medium range combat. If the recoil wasn't randomized with this gun, it would be ranked higher. Because of how unreliable this gun is, I'm gonna have to put this in B tier, which hurts because, you know, everybody loves the Tommy. If you have a Tommy, you know, you're using the Tommy, but there's better automatic weapons to put on this list. With that being said, we're gonna take another tier 2 weapon. I'm just gonna put it straight in S tier. The SAR is an amazing weapon. Its cost is pretty cheap. Not as cheap as the SAP, but it does significantly more damage than the SAP. Yeah, the SAR, great damage, cheap gun. Fuck it. I'm gonna put the SAR at A tier and the SAP S tier. The SAP and the SAR doesn't have that much difference in damage. The SAP has a better recoil than, which is, it's crazy to be talking about recoil with a semi-automatic weapon, but it's not like it doesn't exist. The SAR does a lot more damage, but since the SKS came out, I think that there's a better king in semi-automatic weapons. So because of the cost, I'm gonna knock it down a peg or a rank. I'm going to knock it down a rank and put it in A tier and bump up the SAP into S tier. Mainly because of the cost. That's the main reason. Also, it's also worth noting that the SAP takes pistol bullets, which you can get at tier 1 versus, you know, the SAR, which is tier 2, 5.56. But that being said, we're going to get another S tier weapon. And that's the DB. This might be another controversial one. The DB it's really the best gun in my opinion. Other than the well, we'll get to it, but other than another gun on this list, I think the DB is an amazing weapon. It's very cheap to craft. Extremely cheap to craft. Very easy to get your hands on, like in a box. Very easy to go from DB to M2. You just have to know how to play your cards right. So I don't think this needs any more explanation. Very easy to craft. Very easy to kill someone with. Comparing the DB to the Benelli, which is a crazy comparison, but comparing the DB to the Benelli, the DB, it's possible you shoot someone with Benelli and not kill them. It's impossible with the DB to hit someone and not kill them. So that's why I'm putting that's not why. I'm putting the DB at S tier because of the damage per hit and how cheap it is to craft. It's a tier 1 weapon. So, amazing weapon. I think next we're gonna go to the high caliber revolver. I think that's what it's called. The 5.5 revolver. That's what I call it. Now, I'm usually not a fan of revolvers, but this revolver is amazing. I think this is I don't think. This is the best revolver in the game right now. Although it is tier 2, the damage that the 5.5 revolver does is insane. And this weapon, at least in my opinion, has no recoil. You can hit your shots with this weapon very easily. And if you go down the tech tree, this is not that expensive to tech tree, although I wouldn't be tech treeing anything in tier 2. That's not really the meta. But I digress. An amazing revolver. Not a lot of recoil. Pretty cheap to craft, relatively. It's pretty cheap to craft. So I think that the high caliber revolver is a better alternative to the Python. The Python should be left in auto turrets. But while we're on the topic of revolvers, I'm gonna, and this might be controversial, maybe a little. I've been saying a lot of controversial takes lately, but I think that the regular, I think it's just called the Revolver. This revolver, the tier 1 revolver, should be C tier. And I'm only saying that because of the cost of this revolver. And this, also, I'm gonna say that because this gun is very easy to shoot. Like, this is a toy. If you're not hitting your shots with this gun, you need to uninstall the game. Like, let's be real here. But yeah, this gun is very easy to craft, easy to obtain. It's a tier 1 weapon, easy to get kills with. That's why I'm putting that at C tier. The next gun we're gonna go to is the M92. This gun fucking stinks. This gun sucks. They should remove it from the game. It is horrible. The damage on this sucks. The recoil on this, I think, is the highest. I would say that the recoil on this gun is worse than the HMLMG. This gun is horrible. The damage is horrible. You can't even craft this gun. This gun is F tier. Horrible. I think even if I got my hands on it and it would be my only weapon, I'd rather go out with a DB. This gun sucks. It actually is booty cheeks. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna go to another F tier weapon, the Waterpipe. Actually, this gun also sucks. It is horrible. It's the worst shotgun. This is objectively speaking. There's no debate on this. This is the worst shotgun in the game. Sometimes you can get a headshot with this gun and it won't do anything. It will do negative damage. It will heal the person. That's how bad the Waterpipe sucks. Now, the Waterpipe is great, if you find it in a crate and, you want to dispose of it. Sometimes it can do good. But how inconsistently the Waterpipe does good, it just sucks. It is horrible. The cost of it is cheap, but if you can't find another pipe to make a DB, there's something going on in your wipe. You might have to watch some tutorial videos. So, Waterpipe, F tier. Some people might find that a little controversial. I don't think it is. I think that's just objectively speaking. Next gun we're going to go is the SKS, which I was talking about earlier. This is just going to be an easy S tier. Ever since the introduction of the SKS, I've just been following the tier 3 meta of not even tech treeing down to SAR. SAR tech tree used to be, relatively cheap. But now I just farm straight to tier 3 to get the SKS. Assuming I don't get my hands on a gun before that. But the SKS, the damage is pretty good. The recoil is really not that different to the SAR. I would even say there's less recoil than the SAR. But that's my opinion. Yeah, an amazing weapon. It's not that expensive to craft. I mean, considering it's a tier 3 weapon, it is not that expensive to craft. Amazing damage per hit. The only other complaint I would say is that it's a little bit slower than the SAR. But for the more damage, it really doesn't matter. And because it is cheaper, you know, if we're talking about tech treeing down to SAR and tech treeing to the SKS, it is significantly cheaper to get the SKS. I think that the SKS tech tree, including the cost of the tier 3, is cheaper than the SAR. I don't think there's any reason why anyone should still be tech treeing down to SAR. This is really amazing. Great weapon. Next weapon we're going to talk about is the M39. This gun low-key kind of stinks. There's better semi-automatic weapons on this list. It's not even a weapon you can craft. This gun is a little slow, and I know it does the most damage. I think it does the most damage out of all semi-automatic weapons on this list. But it's a little slow. The recoil's a little off. The sights on this gun is, I don't know. I'm not a really big fan of this gun, at least personally. But I also don't know anyone who would say, oh, I love me the M39. So it's going to stay in D tier. If you have complaints about my ranking of the M39, please go in the comments and write paragraphs about why I'm wrong about this. Or any of the other guns on this list. Next on the list, AK. I think this is obviously S tier. I don't think this needs any explanation. It's like the default automatic weapon of choice. The best gun in the game. It's amazing. I don't think that needs any further explanation, to be honest with you. But its counterpart, its military counterpart, the LR, is also gonna go to D tier next to the M39. You know, when I first started this game, you know, back when I had 0 hours and I was playing with like 12 of my friends, we all had started Rust together, I couldn't shoot the AK. The AK was just such a difficult gun to shoot, but then I found me the LR. And for, I guess, my first 300, maybe 600 hours, this was my favorite assault rifle. I would refuse to use the AK. I'd say, I can't use the AK, don't put that in my hands, give me an LR. And then, after some time, I realized that the LR is a shit gun in comparison to the AK. Also, in addition to that, there was a lot of changes to the LR. I don't remember if I think there was a lot of changes to its recoil with the MP5 and the LR. They both came at the same time. But over the past few updates, maybe not recently, but over the past few updates, there's also been a lot of changes with the LR. The LR basically is kind of like the Tommy. It keeps changing. It keeps changing over and over about like what we're doing with this gun. Or we as in Face Punch. What Face Punch is doing with this gun. It's just not an AK. The AK you can craft, the LR you can't craft. The AK has a better recoil. It has a better recoil pattern than the LR. Yeah, I don't know. The LR is just not. It's not a good gun. Now, you know, if I got my hands on one, of course I would use it. But if I had to choose, I guess that's what this list is about. If I had to choose, I would never take an LR over an AK. The AK is just better. You can't speak about the LR without speaking about the AK. I think that's makes a statement of itself. Next on the list, we're gonna go to the pump. The pump, I'm gonna put this in B tier. And the reason it's not higher is because of the cost to make. That's really the only reason. The pump is a great weapon. I remember when we used to have the pump slug method, and Face Punch nerfed that because that's what Face Punch does. The pump is great. It's an amazing weapon. There's also a mission, I think, at Fishing Village where you can get like a free pump, which is also amazing. But there's cheaper shotguns that do about the same, really. I think there's very limited situations in which you would need more ammo inside your shotgun. Like maybe Underwater Labs is a good example where I would take a pump down to Underwater Labs. But in most situations, you don't really need a pump. It's, like I said before, it's also more expensive to craft. It's also tier 2. A lot of these shotguns on this list are not tier 2, they're tier 1. So that's why the pump is on B tier, but that's not saying that it's not a good shotgun. It's an amazing shotgun. It has its limited uses, like raiding, or going down to Underwater Labs. Next on the list, we're gonna go, let's see, what gun are we gonna do? This image, I'm pretty sure, is of a DB, but we're gonna pretend this is an Eoka for the purposes of this video. I don't know why there's different texture of the DB, but we're gonna pretend this is an Eoka, and I'm gonna put this at A tier. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, but in Eoka, you don't need a workbench to craft. It's just some frags and some wood. And like the DB, you can go from Eoka to M2 to AK to any gun really. You can just keep going, and you can respawn and get an Eoka, respawn and get an Eoka. Extremely easy. The reason why the DB is ranked higher than the Eoka is because, like, obviously the problem with the Eoka is how random it is. It could be 1 hit, it could be 5, it could be 13. So that's really the only issue with the Eoka, is that how random it is. But I'm gonna leave it at A tier. I think it's an amazing weapon. It's just it's a good random shotgun. That's what we're gonna say. Next, we're gonna go to the minigun. And to be honest, I'm not too impressed by the minigun. I'm gonna put it in C tier. To be fair, my experiences in the last 2,000 of my hours have been either running trios or being solo. So maybe that's where my prejudice comes in with this gun. The minigun is just not impressive. What is it, like 5 seconds to spin up? That's my guess. I don't actually know. But it's about 5 seconds to spin up. I just feel like a minigun over an AK is just gonna win. It's just not that impressive. I mean, if I get my hands on it, of course I would use it, but the miniguns are okay. It just doesn't wow me like other guns on this list. But next we're gonna go to the nailgun. I'm gonna put the nailgun at D tier. In my opinion, I think that the nailgun is a bit expensive to craft. I think that there's better weapons to craft. I would rather go out with an Eoka than a nailgun. But the nailgun is great. I mean, I don't want to put it down too much. The nailgun is a good gun. Like, it is a good, or I guess a good nailgun. But what am I saying? The nailgun is great. I just think that there's better tier 1 weapons to make other than a nailgun. I guess its benefits is that you don't need a blueprint to craft this weapon. The nailgun doesn't really impress me. Similar to the minigun, I can put in different ways. The nailgun doesn't really impress me. I almost never craft a nailgun. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's an okay weapon. I think that's mainly because it's cost to craft. It's frags to craft. It's scrap to craft. Like, in my opinion, there's better weapons to make. I would rather go out with an Eoka and a bow than a nailgun. But plays can be made with this gun. But like I said, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by this weapon. Another weapon I'm not really impressed by is the bolty. The bolty, I'm putting it in B tier. I would rank this lower if it weren't for other people, but I'm going to put it at B tier. I think that the bolty is not... I mean, to be fair to the argument, there's only 2 sniper rifles in this game. The L96 and the bolty. The bolty is a far cry from the L96. The L96, you hit that shit from 300 meters, you're hitting... You hit that guy. You hit that man from 300 meters, and you're hitting him. He's dead. Like, let's just be real. With the bolty, I don't know about that. The bolty's okay. But because it's the second other sniper rifle, that's the only reason I'm putting it at B tier and not like C or D. But yeah, it's okay. It's alright. Now let's go with the MP5. The MP5 is an easy A tier. Now, similar to the Tommy, the fate of the MP5 has been changed many times over the past few updates. And like I said earlier, when I say few updates, I mean like the past 2 years. A lot has changed with this gun. I do like that they added the burst module. That's pretty innovative, I would say. The MP5 is probably the best automatic weapon, or I guess submachine gun. The MP5 is the best SMG in the game. I think it's probably close, either second or third to the AK. But of course, the MP5 has its uses. You can't go shooting the MP5 from 200 meters. Of course, that's the only downfall to the MP5. But the MP5 is amazing. It's great. The damage per hit, I would say it's okay for an SMG. It's not that expensive to craft, at least in comparison to the other 2 guns on this list that takes SMG bodies. So like the Tommy and the custom. It's not that much more expensive to craft. But I wouldn't craft this gun. I think they're very easy to find at Miltons, so I personally wouldn't craft this gun. Actually, I have crafted this gun. My point is that the MP5 is a great SMG. It's the best SMG in the game. So, easy A tier. Great weapon. You just have to know how to use it. Let's go next with the Handmade SMG. The Handmade SMG was a new addition to the game, and it had a lot of controversy around it, because a lot of people were comparing it to the Nailgun. They were like, oh, this is just a glorified nail gun. And to be honest, I agree with the critics. So I'm putting this in F tier. I'm putting this gun in F tier. Now, it hurts me personally because like if I were saying just genuinely my opinion, I would put the Handmade SMG above the nail gun. But the nail gun is cheaper. You would never craft a Handmade SMG. That's really the problem with the Handmade SMG. Nobody's gonna craft a Handmade SMG. I don't even know if you can craft it. I don't know anything about the Handmade SMG. I just know that the Handmade SMG is really easy to find in crates. That's its only benefit, and it spawns with pistol bullets, so that's an easy BP. That's the only plus with the Handmade SMG. It's just a glorified nail gun. It might even be worse than a nail gun. Maybe the range. I'm not even sure if the range is even better. than the Nailgun. But the Handmade SMG is staying in F tier. I don't want to discount like the new addition to the game. This is a great new addition to the game. It's an alternative to the Nailgun, and it gives you pistol bullets when it spawns, and it spawns really, really easily. So it is not as horrible as everybody making it seem. We'll leave it in F tier, but it's not horrible. It's not a horrible weapon. Next, in our final weapon that I've left is the M2. Now, the M2 is great. It's a great gun. I think that's it. The M2 is a great gun. I think a lot of people argue that the M2 is the best gun in the game. I don't really agree with that. I think that the AK is the best gun in the game, but maybe it's because my recoil control is not that good with the M2. Maybe that's why. But the M2 is great. The damage per hit is pretty high. I think it might be the highest in the game, excluding the shotguns, obviously. I'm counting this gun as a rifle, but although its similar cousin would be the Humglum. Or the HMLMG, the HM. The M2 is great. It's great, but it's not that outstanding to me, in my personal opinion. But yeah, everyone, that is the list of Rust guns, and its tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any complaints about my list, I know there's a few controversial options there, please leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think I did horribly on this list or what you think I did amazingly. And also do not forget to subscribe and go watch my shorts. But that's it. I'll see y'all.